areas, again, 0 to 5, the development of id, ego, and superego. This is very important. People deeply misunderstand the purpose and meaning of ego. I'm going to now share with you what I have come to know as true. My intention is simply to present a concept to you. Do with it what you would like. It's a little sidestep away from mainstream views of egoic development, but I will share with you what I have learned, the lens through which I see this, and I offer it to you as a place of pondering, and perhaps it will spark some reconsideration on your end. My intention is that it will be helpful any way that you view this. So, this is all very Freudian. Sigmund Freud is the father of modern psychology and psychiatry. Talks about there are three specific, there are many more than three, but Freud says three specific developmental hurdles that all of us have to navigate between 0 to 5. And one is the id, 2 is the ego, and 3 is the superego. So, the expression the terrible twos. We see 2-year-old children melting down all the time. Mom's got the 2-year-old in the shopping cart. She's trying to get a bunch of stuff at Whole Foods, getting all the stuff ready to go to dinner. And the 2-year-old sees a lollipop. And the 2-year-old says, I want a lollipop, I want a lollipop. Mom, I want a lollipop, lollipop. And mom says, honey, you can't have a lollipop. We're going to have dinner in an hour. I'll buy you the lollipop. You can have it after dinner, but you can't have it now. And the child loses its mind. I want a lollipop. Because at 2 years old, the child has not developed the capacity to tolerate its own frustration. We need an ego to be able to do that. So in a perfect world, when the mother is a good enough mother, and I'll talk about what that actually means. That is a phrase coined by the developmental theorist Winnicott. This idea of a good enough mother who actually gets it right a third of the time, gets it wrong a third of the time, and the final third of the time, this is a mother who makes amends and takes personal responsibility for having gotten it wrong and does what is called a rapprochement, reapproaches the child to take the responsibility and bring the situation back into harmony and balance. But a lot of parents don't do this. So we have a 2-year-old who has no frustration tolerance of its own because it hasn't hit that developmental marker yet. So it is the terrible twos where children are throwing tantrums all the time when their desire is frustrated. It's the frustration of desire and the delay of gratification that the 2-year-old literally has no capacity to navigate. So the good enough mother, in essence, loans her healthy ego to the child until the child can develop a healthy ego of its own. So if we understand the 2-year-old is living inside of what is called id, primitive drive. I want what I want because I want it. I have to have a lollipop, lollipop, lollipop. And it feels to that 2-year-old that it will literally explode, implode, and die if it doesn't have that lollipop. There is no understanding of after dinner. There's only the now. And so the good enough mother says to the child, this is really hard for you. I understand this is really hard for you, sweetheart. I will help you and we will get through it. It's really hard for you to want that lollipop and not be able to have it. I get that. But I will help you through it. And we will together get to the other side because it's really hard for you and I'm here to help you. That, in essence, is an example of a good enough mother loaning her developed egoic self to the child, aligning with the child to help it navigate, again, what is experienced in the system as intolerable. I will help you, baby. We will get through it. 2, 2.5. By 3, 3.5, comes the development of the egoic self. What is our ego? Well, there's a gross misunderstanding in our culture, and oftentimes, is my opinion, in psychology itself, where the ego is the holder of identity. I do not believe that that is what the ego is. I believe that the ego will hold our wounds or traumas, but we are not our ego. Our ego is sense of self. It is not core identity. It is I am. I am Sophia. I am. This is who I am. Me, mommy, I'm Sophia. And when we see a 3.5-year-old, let's say a little boy, 3.5, walking around the house with mommy's flowered garden hat, daddy's bedroom slippers, and the child is naked banging on a pot and a pan, having a great time, really feeling itself. We roll in idealizing and mirroring. You are amazing, my love. You are the king of the world, and I am so proud of you. And that 3-year-old is like, yeah, I'm the king of the world, and I'm going to bang a pot and pan. And look at my flowered hat. I am Sophia. I am Jonah. I am Bilal. I am Joe Schmo. I am John Doe. I am. And the development of the ego dovetails with toilet training. At least it's supposed to, in my opinion. So when a child is learning how to take a poopy in the potty, the ego is developing at this exact moment. And there's a very important interweave here, in my opinion, that cannot be underestimated. When we are able as children to get the poopy in the potty, look what I can do. I'm Sophia, and I got that poopy in the potty. I am great Sophia. Mommy, look what I can do. A great sense of accomplishment, which then is experienced by the child as mastery. I have mastered my body. I have mastered something very difficult. And when a child is developing mastery over getting that poopy in the potty and it's dovetailing with healthy egoic development, we have a very strong sense of self, foundation of self. Look what I can do. And the successful completion of toilet training, along with this egoic development of I am and look what I did, gives the child a sense of its own power, potency, importance, and confidence. Because if it could get this really hard thing accomplished, poopy in the potty, it gives the child a sense that it can learn to tie its shoe. I can learn this. I can learn this. It's really hard, but I already got the poopy in the potty. Therefore, I am able to believe in my own mastery and capability. I hate learning to tie my shoes. I hate you, mommy. I'm taking off my shoe. I hate you, mommy. I'm throwing it against the wall. Learning how to tie our shoes is really hard for all of us. There was a time for each and every one of you watching where you had to learn how to tie your shoe, but you did it. You all got the poopy in the potty. You all learned how to tie your shoes, just like me. And when we learn to tie our shoe, it's more mastery, and we get to build mastery on top of the poopy in the potty. And then the mastery of learning how to tie your shoes gives you the confidence to believe that you can learn how to master unbuttoning and buttoning your shirt, taking on and off your coat, learning how to make your bed, learning how to fold your clothes. We are building mastery and accomplishment, and this is where the ego is at its finest. Yay! But I believe, I know, that the ego is my ally, not my identity. I know that as a radiant being of light, as an actual fractal of Source Eternal, the Creator itself, embodied in human form, my ego is my ally, because as a fractal of Source Eternal itself, the only thing that I would be able to do in material reality in the 3-dimensional frequency, which is the most dense, the most difficult to navigate, I would be a radiant puddle on the floor, vibrating to the light of God. I certainly couldn't pay a bill. I couldn't find a parking space. I couldn't make my bed. I couldn't do a laundry. I couldn't do anything without my ego. It is my ally and boon companion. It is not my identity. As an eternal soul that has chosen to manifest itself through me in this human experience, I need my ego to navigate the density of the 3-dimensional experience that we are all having here. But I am not at all confused, because I am not my ego. My ego is my ally. It is necessary as an eternal soul, of which we all are, in my understanding and knowing. I must have help to navigate the density and difficulty of the human experience. Isn't it great? Now I have an ego and I can do it. The superego, which develops between 4 and 5, is the overarching sort of regulator of social appropriate behavior. A 2-year-old who is only living inside of id, primitive drive, I want what I want because I want it, and I have no capacity to delay my satisfaction getting this lollipop. The superego is regulating and managing all behavior. So where a 2-year-old in id will think nothing of biting another child impulsively if that other child grabs its toy, a 4.5-year-old knows to go to the teacher and say, hey, this kid just grabbed my toy. I need help. Primitive drive, all id. I want what I want because I want it. Ego, my ally, my aid to accomplish the development of mastery. Superego, I know because I have the superego as a regulator what is appropriate or inappropriate social behavior. Id, ego, superego, necessary for human development.